Okay, hello everyone. This is Capitaland Integrated Commercial Trust Annual Report 2023. So this is for the full year 2023. Alright. So let's quickly look at the global trends to start off. Right. So they try to discuss what are the global trends first. Right. So for offices, hybrid work styles is coming on. Right. So there's a demand for quality and adaptive workspaces that emphasize collaboration and employee wellness. Right. For the retail side, right, retail spaces now need to be designed for omni-channel approaches to facilitate online offline transactions. All right. What are the macroeconomic environment challenges that the REIT is facing? Right. Firstly, high inflation costs. Right. This is our main issue in the world these days. All right. And because of high inflation costs, we have high interest rates that is trying to bring down the high inflation costs. Right. So these two actually come together. Right, and this results in the REIT of obviously paying higher costs on their debt, which is not good, and it also limits their ability to buy other assets. Right, so CICT is trying to pass on the costs by increasing the service charge for most of their properties in Singapore to cover rising costs. Right, so that's what they're trying to do to mitigate the issues. Right, so in terms of AEI, they're doing some at this Galileo office in Germany. All right. Okay. So yeah, let's quickly look at their general trend. All right. So the general trend for gross revenue, net property income, distributable income, and total assets are all more or less trending upwards. Right. We generally want to look at 2021 onwards because this is post-merger with Capitaland Commercial Trust. Right. So initially it was just a mall. Right. Capitaland Mall Trust, but it merged with Capitaland Commercial Trust to become CICT that we know today, right? So that's why we'll just look at the past 3 years, right, which have been pretty good, right? So everything has been trending up. Okay, so yeah, so this explains everything here. So they say that CMT and CACT will merge to become CICT in 3rd November 2020, right? Which is why we just look at the 2021 figures onwards. Right, if you look at all the trends, generally it's quite good. Gross revenue trending upwards, net property income trending upwards, distributable income also trending upwards. Right, this is I believe not many REITs, given the recent environment, can trend up their distributable income lah. So this is a positive thing for the REIT. Right, borrowings, they're trying to pull it down, which is a good thing. You can see here, leverage is also going down. Alright, which is a good thing. Interest coverage ratio is going down, which is not a good thing. Right, and this is primarily because the cost of debt is going up. Right, so yeah, they talk a little bit about Germany, right? Not doing too well. Okay, so it's the only one that the GDP has declined. If I'm not mistaken, Germany is actually in a recession, right? However, they are mainly this REIT is mainly localized in Singapore, 93.7%, right? The rest is in Australia and Germany, which are not doing well, right? So in my opinion, why I like this REIT a lot is because of this lah. They are just mainly in Singapore, and Singapore is easier to assess in terms of how it's doing, and also it has been pretty stable lah, in terms of economic output and progress, right? So average cost of debt was 3.4%. Right, this may go up to 3.7% or maybe even 4% in the worst case, right, given the way the current interest rate environment is going. Alright, so later on we'll discuss a little bit more about why this is the case. Right, so the AEIs are being done at IMM building as well as Clarke Quay, which I think is going to finish in the second half of this year. I believe second half of this year they will have full occupation from the tenants, as well as the Galileo office in Frankfurt. Right, so these are 3 AEIs that they are doing. Right, shopper traffic in general is looking good. Right, up 8.6%. Right, office portfolios rental revision is good at 9%. Right, and you can see that the occupancy is very high, especially in CBD core office market, right, which is 98.5%. Right, the average there is 94.8%. Right, this is supported by tight supply. Okay, Australia and Germany, you can see the occupancy is not good, right? So lower than Singapore clearly, right? Especially Australia. Okay, not going to go through this. Yeah, we'll just look at this, right? So we can look at what their CEO says, right? They say they aim to lower their gearing, which I like, right? Because I do think, in my opinion, interest rates may be higher for longer, and this will be an issue for REITs, and it's probably better and more conservative to move the debt downwards, right? And they expect meaningful contribution from Clarke Quay from second half 2024, right? And they do not want to have more than 20% of their portfolio from overseas markets, right? Frankly, if you ask me, I rather they just don't have any overseas assets because they have not been doing well, right? So this one is about, I think, office, right? They want their properties to offer core space as well as having flexible space for them to change their workplace as per needed, right? But in my opinion, this probably hard to manage lah. How much core space you need and how much flexible space you need, I think really depends on the tenant. So if the tenant stay long term, it's a good thing, right? If they keep swapping, not so good for the REIT lah. Okay, but I believe CICT has pretty high retention rate even for the office side, right? Later on we'll see the numbers. Right, let's quickly skip through all these. Right, so this is the Clarke Quay redevelopment. All right. Okay, so I don't really think there's too much to say. All right, so there will be money coming in by mid 2024 to support DPU. All right, but actually Clarke Quay is not very big with respect to this REIT lah, so I don't expect a very significant increase, right? Australia and Germany are pretty small, as we have seen earlier, so I won't worry too much about it, right? So yeah, we'll see Clarke Quay's valuation, right? Impressive 14% increase in the valuation of the property because of the AAI Sun, right? However, you can see that in a larger scope of its retail portfolio, it's not very big lah, right? It's about 410 million out of 7.4 billion, right? So not that big. So I don't expect a very big bump to the revenue or the DPU, right? So you can see office side, right? In Singapore is 8.4 billion, right? And total including the Australia and Germany side is 9.6 billion, right? But offices, right, is bigger than retail lah. Even if you just look at Singapore offices alone, 8.4 billion is bigger than the Singapore retail component of 7.4 billion. Right, integrated developments, Singapore 7.1 billion, total with Australia is 7.4 billion. Alright, so yeah, we look at this, the amount of revenue they are getting from each category, right? So retail is 570 million, right? You can see that just now we discussed that office valuation is actually higher than retail, alright, but you can see that they actually bring in less revenue, right, than the retail side, right? And for integrated development, their valuation, right, is actually similar to retail, but also you can see the number here of revenue and NPI is lower than retail, right? So it looks like retail is the best performing type of asset lah, right? In terms of what the valuation of the property is, they bring in more revenue and NPI. Okay, so yeah. Oh, but by the way, the other thing that could have caused this is the fact that offices are in the countries that are underperforming lah, right? So you realize that the office here got Germany and Australia properties, and this one got Australia properties, right? So that could be part of the reason why their revenue is lower than retail. Okay, but I didn't do an exact calculation to find out, right? So DPU has gone up, which is a good thing. I think not many REITs have been able to do this in 2023. Right, debt wise, we are quite happy, right, that they pull down their debt, their aggregate leverage down slightly, right? Interest coverage ratio has gone down, right? But the good side about this is they don't have hybrid securities, means they have no things like perpetual securities. So what you see here is actually also the adjusted interest coverage ratio, right? And what you see here is also the actual leverage lah, because they don't have additional debt outside of this, right? Cost of debt we know has gone up, all right? And one of the reasons why I think that it will go up again probably to 3.7 to 4%, right, for cost of debt. Is because if you look at the loans that or bonds that they are issuing, right, the interest rate is around 4.85%, all right, or around 4%, right. So as they change their loans to all these percentages, right, you expect that their overall average cost of debt will go up. Okay, so moving forward, right, you can see 16%, 13 and 13% of debt is due for renewal over these 2 years, right, and this is what will cause their cost of debt to go up, okay. Right, let's quickly go through. I don't think there's too much more that needs to be said. Yeah, so you can see the general rental revisions in the suburban malls are pretty good, 8.5%. Right, although the total tenant sales per square foot is only increased slightly 1.8%. So this is not too good So moving forward, we may not see that much rental revision upwards, right? Okay, so the reason for this is because of the high base, right? So they are saying that this is low because in 2022 the performance was already good, right? So you can see that this portfolio tenant sales per square foot, right? This portfolio tenant sales by quantum. So actually the increase in sales is 4.7%, but I believe that because the REIT expanded its number of square foot in its portfolio, right? That's why instead of getting 4.7%, right, you get 1.8% increase in sales, right? So you can see what people are spending on these days, right? They are spending more on, I believe, practical and cheaper stuff like shoes and bags services rather than jewelry, watches and home furnishing, which are the high ticket items, right? This partially explains why you can see that although the sales increased by 4%, right, if you want to take the higher figure here, 4.7%, right, you can see that actually the traffic increased by more, right? So you can see on average the traffic increased by 8.6%, right? So these numbers could be explained by the fact that they are buying less high ticket items. So that's why even though traffic increased by 8.6%, right, the total amount they spend is only 4.7%. You can see Singapore office performing very well. Everything is greater than 95%, right? It's Germany and Australia that are the worry. Okay, yeah, this one I think we've more or less discussed. Yeah, for the integrated development for things like Raffles City, right, you can see that office is also very strong. So in Singapore, the office demand seems to be very strong. Right, I think we'll just go quickly and look at the outlook, right, because the video is getting long. Yeah, so sorry about that scrolling. Right, tourism is expected in full recovery by end of the year, right? And MICE events and sell-out concerts are going to support this tourism. So rental and occupancy rates are likely to increase in 2024, right? So that's a good thing. And then for office side, there's new demand outside of CBD as government focus on decentralization, right? So this may be not so good for the office demand in CBD side, right? But I think in general, they anticipate the office rents will still hold firm in 2024, okay, barring increases in service charges because of rising utility costs and inflation pressures. Right, so yeah, demand office space is still tight, all right, and there's increasing back to office momentum, so they expect office space to be okay, right? And I think that should be all I want to say, right? So yeah, I think I'll update with the quarterly report soon, which I believe is out already. Okay, so yeah, thank you for listening.